who has the most pressure next season. Aaron Rodgers and Deshaun Watson are both entering critical seasons in their careers. Watson missed 12 games in each of the last 2 seasons, while Rodgers still has only 1 Super Bowl appearance in his career way back in 2010. Now, CJ Stroud and Jordan Love are both coming off excellent first seasons as starters. Stroud became the youngest quarterback to win a playoff game, and Love led the Packers to the divisional round. And finally, we got 2-time MVP Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, who continue to rack up regular season wins and numbers, but each have struggled in the postseason, especially against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. We got Courtney, Chris, and Sam all here. Courtney, I'm going to start with you. Which quarterback has the highest expectations?
It's easily Deshaun Watson. And then I think there's a gap between everyone else on that list. Of course, it has to do with the contract that he was given, 5 years, $230 million, fully guaranteed for him to play in 6 games each of the last 2 seasons, 1 due to injury, which was last year, and then due to the suspension the year before. The Browns have so much at stake here, and I'm talking about a team that went to the playoffs last year with Joe Flacco as their quarterback after Watson was put on season-ending injured reserve. For Watson to live up to the expectations that he can still be that guy that was in Houston in 2020, leading the league in passing, setting career high in completion percentage that year, does that guy exist anymore? Because we really don't know if that version of Deshaun Watson was something that, because of a lot of different reasons, is in the past, or if he's still that quarterback that the Browns thought they were getting when they decided to pull off this trade, which, by the way, we talk about the money a lot. Let's not forget 3 first-round draft picks they gave up, the 3rd rounder in 2023, and there's 2 4th-rounders in there. That's a lot of draft capital that the Browns shipped out on top of the money. And it's not just Deshaun Watson that has a lot riding on this season. There are jobs on the line in Cleveland if this experiment doesn't pan out the way that they had hoped. And the glimmer of hope I think that you have here is knowing that he's healthy now. He had the offseason shoulder surgery, ended up playing through that in the game that might have been his best game last year, was where against Baltimore. I want to see that version of Deshaun Watson more often. The Week 10 game, which was the last time we saw him, like a horrific first half, and then in the second half, something clicks. And it wasn't like he just flipped a switch, but 14 completed passes, about 150 yards passing, and a touchdown to come from behind and win. That version of him seems to still be there, but can we see it on a 17-game basis? I'm not so sure just yet.
Courtney, I love your answer, but I think you're answering the wrong question. The question is, which quarterback has the highest expectations? The only answer, in my opinion, to that question is CJ Stroud. And the reason why I say that is this. CJ Stroud last year is coming off of a offensive rookie of the year performance, over 4,000 yards, I believe over about 25 touchdowns, played outstanding. And so that was year 1. How do you follow up year 1? Well, let's talk about the brain trust. What did they do? What did Houston do? They went and got another number 1 receiver to go with Nico Collins, to go with Tank Dell in the slot. They got Stephon Diggs. We saw the monumental jump in production that Josh Allen had when he had Stephon Diggs. Not just any number 1, but Stephon Diggs. Now you have Stephon Diggs in your second year to add to your offensive rookie of the year performance. Not only that, you have continuity with your offensive coordinator. Bobby Slowick is still there. He had head coaching opportunities, didn't take them. He stayed as the OC, so continuity. Joe Mixon is your running back now. There's so much continued, not only success, but even improvement along that team. And so that's why I think that CJ Stroud, I think, is the quarterback with the highest expectations. And I go back to that last piece about recency. You said, okay, man, that guy in Houston, is he still there when Deshaun left? That guy is there. That guy is currently in Houston. That guy is CJ Stroud. Deshaun Watson, I think he'll have success, but I believe the expectations for him have been lowered based off of him not playing a lot the last several years. And so that's why I think CJ Stroud is a better answer than your answer.
Understandable. It's not right, though. It's Aaron Rodgers. And the reason is Aaron Rodgers has been talked about more than anyone over a 2-year period in professional sports history, and did less on the field. 4 actual plays. Think about this. Last time Aaron Rodgers threw for 300 yards, Tom Brady was still more than a year away from retirement. That's how long ago it was. It was December of 2021. Yet somehow the Jets are still expected to win the division in the AFC East with a team that includes the Buffalo Bills. They expect that Aaron Rodgers is going to be the savior of this team when he has not done anything since getting there. And I get it. He got hurt. It's horrible luck. He has the expectations of an entire city to lift a team that has never been a real factor in the last 40 years. They made it to a couple AFC championship games, and that was about it. This was somebody that was supposed to finally put them over the top. And right now, this is looking a lot more like the Brett Favre Jet era than it is anything resembling a Jet era that would be anything of consequence, really. It's incredibly disappointing. And by the way, I don't know if we know this, he continues to add distractions to it, and everybody, especially in New York, wants to ignore that.
You've spent all these resources to get your team to a place where it hasn't been. So for the Jets, that's the playoffs. That's being a relevant team that we're not talking about because of all of the instability around it. It's because we want to talk about them as being a good team. That was the Browns. You know who got them to the playoffs last year? 36-year-old Joe Flacco. The reason that they didn't bring him back as a backup and now it's Jameis Winston is because can you imagine if Deshaun Watson goes in, has a bad couple games, and they're going to start cheering out of the dog pound for Joe Flacco to come in and take over somebody who, is on his, career renaissance part of his career right now. These are decisions that both organizations, the ones that Chris and I are talking about, made a major gamble on and are banking that it works, or banking that this is what leads your team to not only being a relevant team, but being stable. I feel like Houston, out of all of those teams, and Acho, you point out the incredible rookie season that CJ Stroud had last year. I don't think anybody's putting the pressure on him that he's got to match that and then some. He's already set the bar for himself very high in a division that is Houston's to lose. And it's not as if there's this big question mark of can he do it? Because he just showed us last year that he can. The fourth quarter comebacks, the game-winning drives, the one against Cincinnati sticks out to me the most. That's going to be a more common experience that you get from CJ Stroud versus wondering, is Aaron Rodgers going to come back and look like the version that he was, the good version with the Green Bay Packers that the Jets had traded for and gave up all of those assets? And the same question for Deshaun Watson. Can he look like the old version of himself, now 4 years removed? And the further you get away from that, the harder it is to believe that that's going to be something that comes back as quickly and as seamlessly as maybe they expect.
Yeah, well, that's why there's so much pressure on C.J. Stroud, Courtney, because of what he did, because of the expectations, because of what you saw last year. Can he follow it up? I mean, I think I can. We think he can, but he has to actually do it. What have you done? Right? We want to see what you do. And so for me, that's the reason. We saw excellent performance from C.J. Stroud. Now, all eyes are on you. Now it's no more expectation. It's not potential energy. It's kinetic energy. You got to do it. You got to prove it. That's why I think he has the most pressure out of all the quarterbacks that we're talking about.